What's going on, everybody? This is Brandon.
Stefan?
Welcome back to Comics Kings. Welcome back to the kingdom. Warm welcome if this is your first time. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more comic book content. Station, you guys. This is Wednesday, new comic book day. I hope everybody is staying safe. Did make it to your LCS to get your books. If you're excited about anything, let us know in the comments below. But this is Whiplash Wednesday with the PCP Army. Bad batch, you guys. Today in this video, we are going to be talking about our top 5 favorite Batman stories of all time, along with 2 honorable mentions. Stefan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I love Batman just as much as everybody else. So when thinking about this top 5 list, it was difficult, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it's really weird because if I had to pick it to just 5, or even when we're doing 2 honorable mentions, so technically a top 7, you can't really go wrong with any seminal Batman story. Now, different Batman stories really correlate to a different audience. There are endless tales for Batman as a character, and his mythos is just ever growing. Probably the biggest legacy character there is. Probably has more books on the shelf probably than Superman at this point.
Easily, yeah.
I mean, just look at today. How many Batman books do we have? Will one of them ever top your top 7, top 10? Probably not. But that's needless to say that there is a book out there. I'm going to go ahead and start with my number 7, and that is going to be Batman Reborn by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. This was shortly after Batman R.I.P. This is when Dick Grayson took up the mantle of Batman. As a huge Dick Grayson fan, I absolutely loved this. This was a great stepping stone for Dick Grayson as a character. I felt like this brought him out of his comfort zone. We really saw him trying to be himself, not necessarily being tethered to Bruce Wayne and the legacy that he upholded with the mantle of Batman, but also Dick Grayson was a big role model to Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne, obviously grieving the death of his father in this book, was ever more so stubborn, but with the help of Alfred and Dick, we really saw the leadership with those 2 characters, especially with their influence on Damian. I love this book.
Yeah. Well, I'm going in no particular order, but since you brought that up, that is one of mine as well. I think, like you said, Dick really he put Damian on like the path Bruce wanted Damian to be on is the path that Dick put Damian on.
Right.
He was a big catalyst in making Damian kind of like, maybe I should wisen up, stop being such an ass, all the time. Be a little bit more serious.
Right. He gave Damian an open mind.
Yeah. But this was like a breath of fresh air when it came out. It was fun. In a way, I guess is the word to put it.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. Fun is a great way to put it. I really enjoyed this. Can't go wrong with Morrison and Quitely on art.
Is that your honorable mention?
No particular. You know what? I'm not no particular order. That's
no
too hard.
particular order.
Yeah, I'm just gonna name books I really, really enjoyed. Boom.
That's awesome. That is a fantastic run. A lot of people really sleep on Damian. I feel like Damian is such a slept on character, but I feel like he has the most to offer the Batman universe at times. Simply because from his perspective, he has seen so much for somebody his age, and he knows a lot again. So he has a lot of wisdom. Once he's an adult, he will probably be the wisest of the bunch. So of course you're not going to like him because he's an arrogant little teenager fueled with the blood of an Al Ghul and a Wayne. So
he's been raised, taught every day that like he's the son of the greatest superhero or
super villain.
Detective. Yeah, depending on your outlook. But exactly, Talia is Raz's
daughter. So
yeah. So he would have a little arrogance to him. It's understandable.
Yeah. I actually have the book in an omnibus. I have all 3 omnis. I'm really excited about it. I'm a huge omnibus guy, so in trade paperbacks, you really can't go wrong. I'm going to go ahead and name another book on my list, and that is Batman Year One by Frank Miller and David Masacelli. Probably one of the better creative teams comic books have ever had. Obviously, you guys know what Daredevil Born Again going down as one of the more seminal Daredevil stories or standalone stories. I would say it's the most seminal standalone Daredevil story where you don't need any prior knowledge. But this book, what really sold me about this book was this book made me a Jim Gordon fan, because a lot of it is written from the eyes of Jim Gordon and how him and Batman form a relationship during Batman's. It's not his origin of how he became Batman, but it's how he really there's a difference in between becoming Batman and being Batman. This is like really what showed him and how he can be Batman, be that Dark Knight for Gotham, that icon. The art in this book is honestly it's really historic. Many people say that this is even sometimes the best art that they've seen in a Batman book. I feel like this really brought grit to Batman, which was unlike anything else at the time, which really holds it in my top 7.
Yeah. As a younger man, I really, of course, I love Legend of the Dark Knight, or the Dark Knight Returns. It's fantastic. But that, I would say, that was my favorite of the two when I was younger. But as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate Year One more than, well, I wouldn't say a smidge more, but I appreciate it more than the Dark Knight Returns.
It's really weird. Dark Knight Returns barely cracks my top 10, which there are so many Batman stories out there, and Dark Knight Returns, it brought a lot to the universe, but it was, at the end of the day, I felt like it's so out there to where I appreciate it mainly as a solo story, not necessarily anything really seminal on the character. It didn't, of all the Frank Miller projects, it didn't capture me the most. So when I think of Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns is obviously up there, but I'm more attached to some of his other projects that he has done, like Year One, like his Daredevil, much more so than I am of Dark Knight
That was one of the books. I don't have it, unfortunately, but that was one of the books I was going to mention. It was Batman Year One. It didn't necessarily show how he became Batman, but just like the catalyst, the blueprint for the Batman, that we kind of know today a little bit.
Right.
The artwork, like you said, legendary, just fantastic. It's timeless, just you can pick it up at any time. It's I don't want to say retro, but just timeless. It's very timeless.
It's very timeless. Yeah. And this didn't really get you attached to any villain in particular, but it got you to understand the streets of Gotham and how Gotham as a city really operates. So that information for any new Batman readers is very helpful. By the way, if you guys have your favorite or you have a list, let us know in the comments below. I want to know what your favorite Batman story is, or even like what's your top 5 if you had to choose. What do you guys like about Batman? Let us know. Stefan, what is the next book on your list that you would like to talk about, my friend?
All right, so I am a big Morrison fan. I think Grant Morrison is one of the Mount Rushmore of comic book writers. So I'm going to go with Morrison's second Batman written story, their Batman title, Gothic, Legends of the Dark Knight Gothic.
That's not one I've read. I have not read that one.
Okay. So this came out in like 1989, 1990, like around the launch of the first Batman movie, riding out the hype of that. And Morrison had previously written was a House on a Star. I can't remember. Living in the Arkham Island, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum. I know he did.
So was it just Arkham Asylum? Okay. That, he got a lot of buzz for that, and so he got to write a monthly, which was Batman Gothic, and my apologies, Morrison got to write monthly, and it was Batman Gothic with Klaus Jensen on art.
That's fantastic.
It had to do with Batman's earlier years, a little bit, like Bruce as a child, and he was going to boarding school, and he had like this evil, what do they call boarding, like principal, I guess we'll call it, the board master. And it turns out the dude had kind of made a deal with the devil. And it's kind of the cat, later on the Batman RIP story Morrison wrote, with Barbados and stuff, kind of the blueprint for that very early on. And it was just a very creepy story. Batman's very strategic, very realistic. and to see him in unknown elements sometimes is always entertaining to see how he approaches that. So
Right.
like supernatural Batman story.
Now, I've seen like those that story in particular in dollar bins at cons or even at an LCS I was recently at. Which brings me like kind of to a point. Anytime you guys see a Batman book in the dollar bin, there are many great Batman stories that are collected in the
Oh,
different
yeah.
volumes. But if you can track down some of those issues, you'll find a majority of them in the dollar bins if you like to read them in single issues. So that's also like Shadow the Bat is a very great story. It's not on my list at all, but you can find all of those books. You can find probably a handful of Nightfall issues in the dollar
Oh
bin
yeah.
as well,
Oh yeah.
which is like not on my list. It just shortly escaped it, but it's such a great read as well, especially like just everything that transpired in that. The next book I do want to talk about is The Demon's Head, which also entailed Daughter of the Demon. That is from the Bronze Age, by Danny O'Neill, R.I.P. And then Neil Adams. Just this is one of my favorite stories of all time. Neil Adams' art really set in this part of the story of his tenure on Batman really just set him apart from any artist in the game at that point. I wish I was there to see this, maybe not because I don't want gray hairs right now, but
Hey.
um I would have liked to experience Neil Adams in his prime and just how much attention to detail he had in his art and just
Yeah.
the different angles and perspectives he was able to capture in his art. It was really so three-dimensional, which was unlike anything in comics at the time, especially in
Absolutely.
DC comic books. So, and Ra's al Ghul, this really established him as one of my favorite villains, and Talia as well. I think whenever you give a villain a family, they're automatically like going to be very important down the road. And Ra's al Ghul is just, I feel like the one villain that can really outsmart Batman. Like Joker emotionally outsmarts Batman. I think logically speaking, the Joker can never match Batman, but Ra's al Ghul will always be able to tactically match up with Batman.
Absolutely.
When it comes to like a strategy and figuring everything out, I think that's a big plus of him that's often very overlooked.
I agree. I have not read that, but I'm going to have to go and track that down.
It's crazy. It's like that green background with his head like kind of shadowed. I forget the issue number because I'm not that great with numbers. My math teachers
Right.
have just been horrible for so many years. Um, but I really enjoyed that book and it's really expensive. So I'm never going to get the opportunity to have it. Maybe one day they'll reprint that volume because I can't find that anywhere. Grr. So digital it was.
Yeah, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So my next book, Batman: The Three Ghosts, also written by Morrison.
I thought you were going to say a different book. I thought you were going to say
Or
Batman Three Jokers.
The Three Ghosts of Batman, I believe it's called. And it's I think it starts off with like a prose issue, uh, with the inner workings of like Joker and his mindset and stuff. Batman's trying to figure out how Joker's broken out, why he's doing stuff, and
Wasn't
then it
this
kind
where
of
Grant Morrison said that Joker just changes his personality over the years and just
just
that
builds a new
was
one.
yep.
Yeah, yep. And so it dealt with like a Bane Batman, Batman with like a gun, and who was the third Batman? I think he had like a flamethrower or something like that.
That's
But
dope.
I think he turned out it was like he was Barbados incarnate, something like that. I've not read this in years, but the final issue dealt with Damian, years in the future, right here, in the Batman becoming Batman, in a very dystopian, hellish Gotham City, and I don't know, it was just super dope as a one shot. I want to see more Damien as an adult. But I know they did miniseries, but it was just Kubert. Do you know who's Adam or Andy? I always get them confused. Do you know who
It
wrote Three Batman?
was, I believe, I want to say, I want to say it was Adam.
Adam?
It
Okay.
was It was Adam Kubert.
And Andy was on Super or Action Comics.
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. If we got them confused, my deepest apologies to the
Yeah.
Kubert brothers. You know, you guys are great. I know you're watching this, by the way. Maybe sometimes. My next
Well,
book is. Oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Keep going.
No,
Keep
it's
going.
so, no, yeah. Just dealt with like you know, the previous issues dealt with like ramifications of Batman and the things he affects, and this kind of gave like a look into the future of Batman's course. Super
And
dope.
kind of what we can see with Damian.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, and we talked about this before earlier in the show. Damian is just a great character, and I think that the more Damian we get, the more he ages, we're also going to grow to love the character as well. I just think right now his time is too soon to be held above anything for what he is, and that's just an obnoxious little teenager, less than a teenager, not obnoxious little kid. I don't even know. Is he 13? Is he 13 now?
Yeah,
no.
He's 13. That was part of the rebirth.
He is. Okay, so he is. Okay. My next book is actually, it's a Scott Snyder book. We've not talked to any Scott Snyder today. This is Black Mirror by Scott Snyder and Jock. And thank you to my wonderful ex-girlfriend for buying me this. Yeah, it was a very short-lived relationship.
Hey, you got a great book from it.
Yeah, she was a Cyclops fan. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, this book was great. This also had Francesco Francavilla on the book, and this is really where we got to learn more about Jim Gordon and his son James. This is a true gritty story, and Jock's artwork really just set him apart in this book. You see a lot of iconic covers that are going for a lot of crazy money for Black Mirror, but what's really important is the insides of the pages, and this is a really creepy book. This book is insanely creepy, and I think that's really what I love the most about Black Mirror, is just how creepy it was. Hands down, people say this is one of the better modern Batman stories, so if you have not checked it out and you want a Scott Snyder Batman story where you can just pick up and read and not know anything, New 52 is great, but I think if you want something that's right up there with Court of Owls, which we will get to in a little bit, this book is the way to go.
I'll have to check it out. I have not read that one.
It's fantastic. Jock's artwork is
love
great. Jock. So, and Jock has a miniseries coming up that he's writing and drawing, so I'm excited for that. Even though it's another Batman book, but you put Jock on it, I'm just like, you suck, because now I'm buying it.
I have to, yeah.
Now I have to. I'm like, it's Jock, and we don't get a lot of Jock books, so I know he takes his time. He's very thoughtful as an artist, so I really do appreciate that book as well.
Yeah. So, speaking of Black, mine is I think it's called Batman Black Glove.
Another Morrison.
Yes, I love Morrison.
I was gonna talk about Black Glove, and then I figured I like the other one better with Dick Grayson.
Oh, I love this. This was so different. You got J.H. Williams III on art, masterful artist. It was a kind of like a whodunit type of mystery story. Batman and all these other Batman, I guess you could say, from different countries, are all on like one
international clue.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
International clue.
They're all on like one island, and you got to figure out, like, one of their longtime friends died, so they go there to meet up and celebrate, honor him, and like people start getting offed left and right, so they have to figure out what's going on. It was a very, very detective story. It's cool to see Batman be a detective, bro. You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, okay. Bro. No, from the Hawkeye. We're gonna see that in a little bit.
But yes, track it down, Batman Black Glove.
Yeah, Black Glove, I've read it. It's in the omnibus that I have, so I've enjoyed that story. It was great. I really think Grant Morrison is the most thoughtful Batman writer. His overall run is my favorite on all of comics. It had a cohesive start, and finish, and everything really just tied together really well. Grant Morrison has a great sense of pace, a great sense of when to drop certain information and when to let you know more information, and just having that patience as a writer is just incredible. Very thoughtful about the creative teams that they picked. But specific stories, I do have to give it to Scott Snyder with Court of Owls and Black Mirror. But overall run, I would say Grant Morrison trumps any of the current runs that we've had in the modern age, which you guys know that's like Tom King, Tynion, and Snyder and Morrison. Morrison has the best, hands down.
Yeah.
The third book I'd like to talk about is, it's number 3 on my list if we're doing the numbers, okay. But not the third. You guys know what I meant. But that is The Long Halloween. I don't have it on me because they released a hardcover that is $50, and it's literally the size of a Big Mac, so I'm not paying that kind of money. Especially when it's like the same thickness of this kind of book. This is the first book on the shelf that I really just
I
saw.
love that.
But oh no, it's great. But it's the same thickness, and it's like, come on now. This is even thicker, probably. I would even go as far to say. But The Long Halloween is another murder mystery, kind of like a whodunit. But this was really a spooky story, a really gritty book. It's by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. So if you're familiar with their artwork, they do a lot of great character studies. They do a lot of great misdirection, and really just leading everything up. I'm not going to spoil it if you have not read it. But
Yeah.
What was really cool about that book was I heard in an interview with Tim Sale that they were originally going to have Poison Ivy be the mastermind behind everything, but Tim Sale did not want to draw her every single page because of all the leaves and everything.
I can
She has
understand.
one of the most complex character designs. Obviously, it got simplified over the course of the years, but this is like still back when she had her classic, like all garden outfit
Just
out there.
flowing everything.
But if you're looking for a great murder mystery that keeps you on the edge of your seats, it reads just like a horror book. And again, this is one of the more revolutionary Batman horror books that came out at that time. Year one and Long Halloween really did drive that narrative of making Batman such a horrific character and playing around with the different genres of storytelling you can bring to this mythos, right? You have a character that's been around for so long, got to do things differently in those books. Long Halloween in particular really did it. Their covers are great, every single one of them. And the interiors look just as great. And it really brought back a lot of classic villains that were lost in time and made them relevant today. I'm not going to spoil it because one of them is the guy behind it. I have not checked out any of the movies for that. I was going to do that on Halloween, but I got caught up doing other things. I forgot what I was doing, but I was preparing for something. I just don't remember what. I know it's a bad excuse. But
so speaking of that book, I don't have it either. Shame on me. But it's one of my favorite Batman stories. Batman: The Long Halloween. I want you to like superimpose a video or like a picture of Long Halloween here by my hand. If possible.
I wish I would. I wish I were editing this.
No, I'm just kidding. But that is, it's one of the seminal Batman stories. Art style just super distinct. The coloring, the writing, it was it definitely kind of, year one gave you like the inner workings of how Gotham City and was crucial to Batman's mythos and everything. Long Halloween really elaborated on that, and
it really did a character study on the Rogues Gallery, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And what I really appreciate about a lot of great Batman books is how they're able to. A lot of villains are overshadowed by the Joker because he is the most dominant person in Gotham. I would say he's even more dominant than Batman just because of the attention he brings. It's like as soon as Joker's in the picture, everything is hands down, and Batman automatically focuses on him no matter what the situation is. So I would say Joker is probably the most, attractive member of any Batman story. But what really is important to Batman is how you're able to build the other Rogues Gallery to make them what they are outside of the Joker's shadow, because the Joker can manipulate them if he really wanted to.
I thought it was really cool how they worked so many of Batman's Rogues Galleries into the story, but it didn't seem like, hey, they're just popping up, like they weren't serious
organically.
Yeah, it weren't big characters for the most part, but they all worked very well into the story, like you said, organically.
I just realized I brought out volume 2 of this. I didn't pick out, but this should be the Court of Owls. I accidentally snagged the City of Owls. It was in the slipcase that I have with all of them. They're all signed by Greg Capullo. But that's a number 2 on my list. Court of Owls. It is the modern Batman story that anyone is going to recommend to you off the shelves. Basically, the narrative of this is there's a secret society in Gotham that's overpowering everything. So like, even the Joker doesn't know about him. Batman doesn't know about him, but they run Gotham on the down low. And it's really up to Bruce Wayne to figure out who these guys are.
Sorry.
So, and just the whole history behind the one of the main owls, Talon, and the history that he specifically has on the Gotham universe and on Batman as well as a person, as Bruce Wayne. And some of the other characters in the Bat family. This book really just Scott Snyder has a great history of the Batman mythos, and I almost call it the Snyder Museum, where he just throws out random history facts at will just to say, "Hey guys, look, I did it." Similar to what Jed McKay is doing in anything he's doing in Marvel, it's like the McKay Museum, where you just have like just an encyclopedia of knowledge. Snyder Snyder just loves to throw in the random like bits of Gotham history in this book, but it works so well. It didn't work so much in his other endeavors with Batman, but it was really fitting for this story, especially the first 3 volumes of the New 52. Greg Capullo on art, who really has gone down as probably the best modern Batman artist. I would say it's Greg Capullo. This book also drove just a lot of great visuals that just looked completely badass. And it's just like anything that you wanted to see Batman in that looked cool, it was there. Very rock and roll, but also very gritty, and just a whole lot of knowledge on display. Getting
Yeah,
into this mystery of who are the Court of Owls, what is their purpose. I really enjoyed this book,
yeah.
and
I
again,
think
it's
they are a
very
great
new reader
addition.
friendly.
Yeah, Court of Owls was a great addition to the Batman mythos. Like, something that, like, going forward, it's kind of become like a staple. Like, anytime they, well, I would hope, not all the time, but it's kind of like, the Harley Quinn of the New Age in a sense. And not character wise, but
It's a
just,
defining moment.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well said. I love that run. You said it best, so I'm gonna leave it at that. My last book is Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader by Neil Gaiman and Andy Kubert. So
That's
we're,
one I have not read yet, but I love that cover.
oh yeah, the Alex
Yeah.
Ross. But this happened like around the time Batman RIP was going on, and no one was sure what was going on with Batman. To be honest, was he dead? Was he not dead? And Final Crisis as well was going on, and it's kind of like an a dream, very like fairy tale-ish telling of like Batman's overall history, his different incarnations and stuff. But it also almost read to me like Batman was not to get morose, but Batman was like dying, and it was like his brain was like these were like the last signals going to his brain type of thing. I don't know, but this was before we found out he was time traveling. Spoiler.
Is this
Yeah,
similar to whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow?
yes. Have you read that?
I have not,
Oh,
but I will. They're on the list. I just have not explored them yet.
yeah, but very very just beautiful book. I recommend it.
I'm
Boom.
excited. That's been thrown my way several times. I have not read it. I think the 2 most recent Batman books that I've dove into, other than the Grant Morrison run that I'm reading, I have the Paul Dini omnibus. But outside of that, I've recently read Batman Ego a few months ago, and Creature
Oh,
of the Dark
nice.
Knight. Darwin. Those are just again 2 books that just barely escape the list. 2 great books that I would also recommend checking out. I'm not going to get too deep into them. But the last book I do want to talk about, I'm so happy I have this book in the edition that I have it in, because it was so cheap. Now, absolute editions usually don't go for anything below $50. I happen to buy this for 10. Um, and that is the absolute edition to The Killing Joke. I
Oh,
bought it for
nice.
$10. Just because there's like a little ding in like the slipcase, or like even in the hardcover. But like this is just gorgeous. This book is the defining moment for me for Batman and Joker, and it's really what I look at a Batman Joker relationship should be. So was I very frustrated with the way that Jeff Johns treated this iconic story? Absolutely. Um, I really think that this book really just gave us how crazy Joker is and how far this guy is really willing to go to prove a point, but also poetically weaving together the story and the relationship between Batman and Joker. Those two are forever attached. There is a little mystery at the end that's kind of left up to the audience. I don't believe it's ever been answered. I think Alan Moore did once, but I'm not. Basically, like the raindrops are dropping, and then all of a sudden everything goes silent. Joker's laughing, and then Batman just does something off panel, and Joker goes silent. Many people think that Batman snapped his neck after what he did. I happen to believe that theory just because I think if Batman is pushed so far, he will go over the limit. I think everyone is bound to break. So that's just my theory. If anyone has a different one, enter it in the comments below. I'm happy to discuss it with you. But Brian Boland on art, if you just look at the history behind this book, it's fantastic. The way that they built this narrative, how they define Joker, going back to the Red Hood, and involving Batgirl, with torturing Jim Gordon. This was a really psychedelic book, and it was just brought together in the most poetic way. This is my favorite Alan Moore story that has ever been written. Sorry to all the Watchmen fans out there, but this book is just number one, and I don't think that there's anything that really tops it. I know I talked earlier about not really involving Joker as much, but this time it was mainly just a close-knit story between Batman and Joker, and then with two other characters that just happen to be brought along. Batgirl, which we're still seeing the ramifications of what happened to her, even in comic books today. We're seeing the ramifications of what happened with Jim Gordon in comics today. I'm not going to mention if that's good or bad, but I'm sorry, James, you got to do better. But I really did enjoy this book. Art was fantastic. It's such an easy story to pick up. So if you ever do want to get into the Batman-Joker relationship that you've seen on TV, you've seen in the movies, this book reads in such a simple form that's very welcoming for this being your very first comic book you've ever read.
I don't know if I'd suggest it to be the first comic someone's ever read.
I wouldn't say it'd be the first one, but it's very new reader friendly. It's a very simple story. The panel layouts are there's no confusion.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a defining moment for the Batman Joker relationship, and just kind of understanding the back and forth between them. About yin and yang, can't have one without the other type of thing.
100%.
Yeah, you said it best. I'm gonna leave it at that. I agree with everything you said about that book. That's a phenomenal book.
Do you have another book you want to talk about?
No, I named all 7.
Named all 7.
Year One, Long Halloween. Those were the ones I don't have, so I guess my honorable mentions. No, they're all honorable mentions. They're all worth it. What Happened to the Cape Crusader, Batman and Robin. We had Batman 3 Ghosts, The Black Glove, and Batman Gothic.
100%, man. You guys, this was great. If you have a favorite Batman story, comment down below. Again, if you have a top 5 list, do that. But also, I invite you guys to check out some of our other content that we have here on Comics Kings. The Hawkeye show's out today, so look for the Hawkeye review that we did last Friday. Myself, Missing Link, and Michael for the Love of Comics. We did that. That was fantastic. One of my favorite episodes of Archives. That drops every Friday. I know this one dropped on Sunday during everyone's football binge, but I apologize in advance. We also had Creators Corner with Marv Wolfman, and we had weekly wrap-up, as well as we had a Crisis on Infinite Rants from last week as well. So we had a lot of content dropping last week. This is coming out Wednesday. We're trying something new with the drop, so let us know if you guys want to see this show live or see us pre-recording it, whichever one you guys prefer. I happen to really like the pre-recording because it lets us kind of dive deeper into these topics and feel more like a podcast. I feel very professional talking like this, by the way. But also coming down the pipeline, you guys have seen this on Wednesday. So after this, we previously saw Nick Comic Culture walk us through his LCS. We're later going to see his haul at 5 o'clock. However, before that, we are going to head over to Travis, TM Nerdy, talking with our friend Roscoe, who is just I call him handsome homie Roscoe, but he's not too bad for a Giants fan. I'll leave it at that. And then we have who's usually next? We have Big Herm Collectibles. He is going to be doing his show at, I believe he's going at 7 this week. And then we have Tomorrow Cinema really closing us out tonight with the PCP Army Bad Batch. This is our night. So look for all the Backlog Bros, all the PCP Army Bad Batch members.
What are the Backlog Bros?
I don't know. Look for them to be on stream. I will do my best to make it, but I will currently be on the road to Pennsylvania. So if I make it, I'll be there at the end. If not, I'll catch them next time. Other than that, the Blame Fable tonight was Sunday, and then more content from us down the road. A weekly wrap up every Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Creators Corner whenever I see fit. But JM DeMattis is going to be on the show December 4th to kick off Ben Reilly Spider-Man #1. Already got some
Nice.
teaser images, you guys, and I'm really excited for it. Really excited to be promoting that with Jay.
Nice.
He's a legend. Wrote one of my
Yeah.
favorite Spider-Man stories, so that's really exciting news from us. And then we have Christ and Infinite Rants every Wednesday, 1:00 preferably. We will probably be dropping it. And then archives, look for that. We taking a week off this week just due to the holiday, Thanksgiving that being, and we will be back next week talking about Joker War by James Tynion as he is leaving the book. He's departing Batman, so we want to look at his biggest events and relive that moment, break it down for you guys. I'm really excited to dive back into that book.
Oh yeah, same.
100%, man. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for your support. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked what you're seeing. If you made it this far, you have no reason not to. And make sure you guys check out everything the PCP Army Bad Batch has to offer on this glorious Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you guys spend it with your loved ones and watch some great football, eat some great food. Have a good one. Station, you guys.